Hi you guys. Hi you guys, my name is Derrick Rashid and welcome to my channel. So here we are for another installment of this mess of a show we love called 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After ? So we basically start off the episode with Colt. He and Debbie are now in Brazil. We pretty much pick up right after the entire mess with Debbie, and Colt and Jess are on their way to dinner. They get to dinner and we find out that Colt, after this entire situation with Debbie, that he got another hotel room, which should have been the thing that he'd done from the get-go, but alas, it's finally happened and the two of them can have their own room. Jess lets Colt know that she doesn't feel like Debbie likes her just because of everything that happened. The next morning, Colt goes to Debbie's room where she's out on the balcony having breakfast, and he starts having this conversation with her. And he lets her know that Jess feels like that she doesn't like him, and basically like they get into this conversation about the entire day, and Colt's like, well, I understand that if you were tired or everything like that, but that doesn't give you grounds to be an a-hole. And I'm like, whoa, did he really just say that to his mother? But Debbie does say that she is glad that they have their own room so that she doesn't have to hear them having sex. And Colt says, you know what? Yeah, Mom, I'm really glad too, because Jess is really loud. No, like there's a time and a place for everything, and these types of conversations should not be the things that you just bring out to your mother. It doesn't seem as though she's really here for you to have a partner of any sort, so I highly doubt that she wants to know about your sex life with this person. So Colt, just chill out a little bit with the sex talk with the entire world. Like when you and Jess are having these conversations, cool. That doesn't mean you have to bring it to every single person, and I don't really care. Debbie also tells Colt that she feels like Jess has a plan, and obviously this plan would to mimic Larissa and wanting to come over for a green card, and possibly by entrapping him with children, because she's never heard of Colt wanting to have children or whatever. But here's my thing. Me personally, if I want kids, and I do want kids, I'm not going to entertain the thought of being with someone who says that they do not want kids. It just doesn't make sense. Colt suggests that Debbie should go talk to Jess to try to like clear the air and make sure that they're okay, and she does that. But this conversation basically is more so of an interview for Debbie to see how she feels Jess is regarding her true intentions. She basically doesn't want anyone to come between her and her son, and she says that to her. She's like, we need to get along, because if we don't get along, he's gonna have to choose between the two of us, and you don't want to lose and I also don't want to lose, so let's just try to get along for the sake of everything. Here we are at in Moldova for Libby and Andre. Alright, so now we're finally looking at wedding venues, and we pull up to the first venue. Everything seems to be okay. They get out of the car. Libby asks him to lock the door, although her father is inside the car with the baby. She just wants this additional like safety measure, and Andre tells her that she's being annoying and OCD and like she needs to stop it. This venue, it's in a strip mall. It is a casino by night. It is on the inside. It just looks very outdated. Yeah, like the decor and everything, and the chefs weren't there to like do a tasting, so they looked at pictures of the food. So basically when they walk out, Libby's like, yeah, this isn't the place for us, and Andre goes onto this tangent about, oh well, maybe we just need to get some food so you won't be hangry. In the interview regarding this entire venue, Libby's talking and she's expressing herself about like how she kind of wants things to be for her family as well, and Andre jumps into her conversation and she's like, don't interrupt me, and he fires off at her. Like, he cursed at her obviously because there were bleeps, and I looked at the asterisks and I counted them, and I'm I'm not believing that these words that they make us, like, they want us to think are the things that he said. I'm pretty sure that he said that she is a effing bee and she's annoying. Maybe not that, like, the words maybe switched around. But he called her a bee in my brain. He called her annoying. He told her to shut up. She told him to shut up. She goes on to continue her thought process, and then he jumps in again, and then he's like, finish your thought, finish your thought. And it's like, bro, hold on, chill. If you actually look at, like, if you play back that argument, you will see this look in his eyes, and for me, it makes me feel uneasy for her. So they go on to the second venue, and this one's much more nicer. They get to taste the food, and everything basically is smoothed over. And Libby asks him very, like, honest question, with her dad being the person paying for this. She wants to know, like, what's the estimated amount that this will cost. And Andre says that it doesn't matter how much it costs. Your father's basically gonna pay for whatever we like. Libby also gets baptized during this episode, and it's gonna be basically her and Andre and the godparents, which are Andre's brother and his wife. And afterwards, they meet back up for dinner, and the baptism ended with her getting a cross. It's then brought up at dinner that Libby's not wearing her cross. She says, well, I didn't know that I was supposed to wear it. And he goes and says, see, this is exactly why I need to tell you to do everything in your life. First and foremost, with this being your tradition, your religion, and everything else that she's getting thrusted into without knowing prior to, you should be the one to tell her these things. You should tell her that this necklace, which we find out from the family members, that it's a symbol to protect her from evil, and that during the baptism she was basically like provided a angel of protection and things like that, and that's why she should be wearing this necklace. But that's not anything that we're hearing from him. Everything we're hearing about all these customs and traditions are coming from his family. So, like, I'm not understanding where all this anger and rage and frustration and everything is coming from him. But he then says, like, should I educate you on everything? And yeah, like, just like Libby said, yeah, you really should. But then it also goes into this entire thing with their home life and how Andre's in the position that he is in, being a stay-at-home father because of Libby wanting independence. And obviously we don't see everything, but what we did see was Libby working all throughout, even up until the last moment of her pregnancy, and Andre not having a job. And when he was offered jobs, he declined those jobs because they're not what he wanted. And also the the godmother says that maybe Libby should, like, listen to her husband more. But you can't listen to someone who's not giving you information. And Libby says, like, this isn't on her, this is on Andre's lack of communicating with her. And this whole thing comes up, and I don't believe in gender roles, obviously. My partner will be a man, so there will be no woman roles. Like, we're all adults, like, there's multiples of us. We're both adults, and things need to get done, and we just need to do them, and that's just how it is. But I understand that certain cultures and everything, they have this this is what this gender does, this is what this gender does, blah blah blah, and that's fine as long as both parties agree to that and both parties are doing what they need to do, which is not the case with these two. Back in Las Vegas, we meet up with Larissa, who was on her way to meet her immigration lawyer, Adam. It's very obvious that she thinks Adam is attractive. We got that vibe last season as well. But that's kind of besides the point, because it doesn't really have anything to do with anything other than the fact that she wants to be his assistant. But we found out during this conversation that Adam gave Larissa legal advice regarding her relationship with Eric. Where's Larissa now? She's with Eric. She also goes on a date with Eric. And I'm not really going to say too much on Eric because I feel like Eric's an opportunist. Well, they both are opportunists anyway. he's here for the camera, she's here for a green card, however she can get that, however she can leech onto someone so that she has someone to support her and do these things for her. That's basically what she's looking for. And that's that. Like, later on that evening or whenever, she tells Carmen, who is her friend, who bailed her out one of the times apparently and let her live with her after the divorce from Colt, she told her that her and Eric are back together, and her friend let her know, like, some really honest truth. Like, I think you're making a big mistake. Like, you shouldn't be involved with a guy who has already filled out a police report on you, and two, could get you deported because your relationship is not healthy. You've already experienced this, and you should be focused on the goal, which would be to stay in this country rather than being tangled up with a man. But if you want to do that, that's fine. You just got to get out of my house. So by the end of this weekend, you'll be out of my house, right? And this doesn't mean that I don't love you. It actually means that, like, I'm hoping you think about what you're doing for yourself. And I'm here for that. Over in Nigeria, we have Angela and Michael, who are on their way to meet with some people, a guy, that's what he says, it's a guy who has dual citizenship between Nigeria and the States. Michael drives Angela over to meet them so that they can talk, and when they get there, it's only women there. Angela's upset about this entire thing. One, because there is nothing but women there. Two, she feels as though, who's gonna tell her about her home, her country? Why is Michael even entertaining this with other people? And you lied to me because you said that there was going to be a guy there, and there are only 3 women here. So she thanks them before she even opens her mouth to have dialogue with them or anything. She thanks them, and she leaves, and she's cussing Michael out in the car, and she's like, this relationship is over, and da 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 da, blah, blah, blah. The entire car ride they're arguing. And then she gets a call from her daughter, Skyla, and Skyla's like, Mima's losing her mind. And Angela's like, this is dementia, you need to take her to the doctor immediately, blah, blah, blah. And now we get into this whole thing like, Michael doesn't know what I'm going through, and my mom may not make it, and when I left, she was fine. And I'm like, girl, your mom was not okay when you left. She was not fine. Now at this point, she's like, Michael, do we really, like, are we good for each other? Should we be getting married? Like, is this something that we should be going through with? And the answer to that is no. Kalani and Asuelu are back in Utah from California with Oliver's birthday party. We actually don't get any footage with Kalani. Everything is centered around Asuelu and Lo. So they go and they walk the dog. They drive to some place. And they walk the dog, and this is basically for Lo and Asuelu to talk. And I'm like, yes, they're gonna talk in Samoan, they're gonna get some things hashed out, but none of that happens. Well, actually they do talk, it's just not in Samoan. And basically the conversation goes about like what happened, and Asuelu's he's saying like, Lo, you've heard their side of the story, but you haven't really heard mine. And Lo's like, okay, go ahead, tell me your side. And I feel as though this man is being very patient with Asuelu. But Asuelu's basically saying everything that happened with Lisa, and not necessarily the entire situation of what happened and how a lot of the things came from what he said. But what he does mention is the fact that he does think in Samoan, and then he has to translate that to English and say it. And sometimes those things don't come out as American, let's say. It doesn't come out the same way that someone from America would perceive well. I don't believe what he's saying would be perceived well from someone like his wife and his mother-in-law, who are very Americanized and don't really believe in women being lesser than, I guess. I don't know, I just feel as though these women who are very strong-willed like this, I don't understand why they're going for men whose culture is very opposite from their reality. It's just always going to be a clash. Anyway, back to the conversation. Aswelu does tell Lo that like maybe some of the things that he said he shouldn't have said, especially the way that it came out, and that he did curse, and he cursed at Kalani. And Lo's like, if this keeps happening, like I'm trying not to be physical with you, but if it happens again, it's not going to be pretty. And Kalani also said that you didn't apologize to her, so maybe you kind of should do that, and he should also apologize to Lisa. I felt as though, again, Lo is being very respectful and very patient, and it definitely is because he understands where Aswelu's coming from, because he did grow up in Samoa. He knows the culture. We open up with Tanya and Senjin, with Senjin being on a call with his brother, a video call, in which we find out that his brother had a health scare. He had a blood clot that went into his lung, and they had to go to the hospital and all that stuff. And it sparked Senjin to want to go home. And while he was here during the K1 visa process, his grandma died, and the rules of that visa is basically like once you're here, you can't really leave. So he was kind of sort of stuck here to go through everything and basically be alone because Tanya wasn't there. And he brings this up to Tanya. They meet up at a coffee shop. Why are they spending money when neither of them have a job? Like, none of it makes sense to me. Senjin tells Tanya like he kind of wants to go home to visit, and Tanya's like, yeah, because if it was my family, I would have been like, babe, we got to work this out. I'm gonna go. And then Senjin asks, like, would she be okay with going? And she's kind of taken aback by this, just because of all the issues that they're having. But what really caught my attention is the fact that she said that basically she's kind of afraid of Senjin going home because he might get, like, positive energy and good vibes from family time being there. And I'm like, so what does that say about you? Like, that you're worried about him going there because he's gonna get something that makes him want to stay there. That means that that energy, that vibe is better than what he's receiving here. So that's it, you guys. That's going to be it for this episode of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. Please follow me on socials. I do have Instagram, I have Twitter, and my handle is at Derrick_Rashid, just like it is with this channel, only the channel does not have the underscore. So until next week, guys, bye.